Okay. So, Rajan sir, please tell me in your team best interns है.
Okay, ma'am.
He
uh,
is present in this meet or not?
मैम जो अच्छे interns हैं they are like always present at the meet. So almost everyone who's in the meet with us right now, they have been performing very well.
Okay,
And
okay.
yeah, so uh, I cannot pick any specific names because they've all been working very hard and almost equally.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no difference between in them.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So, so everyone, please tell me that I think it's a 17th batch now. Yeah, it's a second batch, 200 rupees, है ना? Yeah. So, guys, please tell me if you have any if you have any other knowledge, if you have any other knowledge in any other languages, like आप पाइथन में ट्रेनिंग कर रहे हैं, वो ओके है, बट इसके अलावा किसी अदर फील्ड्स में आपको नॉलेज है, किसी को भी, जैसे अगर आपको पाइथन सीखना था, ओके, पाइथन में आप सीखने आए, ठीक है, पाइथन में आप गुड हैं, ओके, अगर पाइथन में बेस्ट है तो प्लीज पाइथन का बताओ। अगर आप पाइथन में बेस्ट नहीं हो तो मतलब जैसे कि आपको वेब डिजाइनिंग आती है, जावा आती है, और कोई अदर लैंग्वेज आती है जिसमें आपको बेस्ट नॉलेज है, क्या कोई ऐसा है?
Everyone, please speak up. Ria ma'am is asking you a
कार्तिक
question.
सर, कार्तिक सर, कार्तिक कवाड़, कार्तिक सर।
Yes, ma'am.
तो सर प्लीज टेल मी योर स्किल्स।
So, ma'am, I know basic knowledge in HTML and CSS, and I'm doing in JS now, means
Okay.
learning.
And any language?
No, ma'am, but I know little bit of Android Studio.
Okay. SEO.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
SEO.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, okay. So, have you any done previously in any SEO course?
No, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm currently doing web development from YouTube, ma'am. From YouTube tutorials.
Okay, okay. So, guys,
Yes, ma'am.
any Nilma, Nilima, Rajeshwari, guys, please tell me. राजारिन सर, क्या ये सब ट्रेनिंग के टाइम भी चुप रहते हैं?
मैम टेक्स्ट पे तो वो कहते रिप्लाई करते हैं, वो नहीं होते, वर्बली रिप्लाई नहीं करते। टेक्स्ट पे वो एक्टिव रहते हैं, बट आज टेक्स्ट पे भी एक्टिव नहीं है।
What
सो
about guys?
एवरी
Please tell me.
एवरीवन स्पीक अप, ये सब आपके भले के लिए ही हो रहा है। दिस इज फॉर योर बेनिफिट, so it would be better if you speak up and answer what your ma'am is asking you.
Nikita, guys, everyone, write down on chat box your skills. ठीक है, everyone please write on in the chat box your key skills in which you have a good knowledge. Yeah, good basic knowledge. Ashutosh, good basic knowledge in HTML, CSS. Pavitra, Android Studio and C and C++. Pavitra, do you have knowledge in Android? या फिर only Android Studio?
Yes, ma'am.
You have knowledge about Android? पवित्रा,
Yes, ma'am.
क्या आपको एंड्रॉइड में नॉलेज है?
Yes, ma'am. Have.
इन अ बेसिक और इन एडवांस्ड?
In basic, ma'am, there is a workshop for us, ma'am. In that, we learn some of the basics, ma'am.
ओके ओके ओके। ये किसका नाम है? स्वजन्या। स्वजन्या, डू यू हैव नॉलेज इन जावा? प्लीज टेल मी गाइस, मैं जिसका भी नेम ले रही हूँ, प्लीज टेल मी। बेसिक नॉलेज, ओके। सो ओके, दिव्या, दिव्या लंचाना, डू यू हैव नॉलेज इन PHP with MySQL
Yes, ma'am.
in a basic and advanced?
Medium level, ma'am, not an advanced.
Okay. Okay. So how much knowledge in like PHP? Like how much? I think मैं कितना आपको समझूं कि आप एक, अगर आपको एक PHP का प्रोजेक्ट दिया जाए, क्या आप कर सकते हो?
Yeah, I have done a website, ma'am, on PHP.
In website in which
What, ma'am? Ma'am, I can't hear you.
वेबसाइट आपने किस टॉपिक पर बनाई थी? लाइक ई कॉमर्स था, नॉर्मल थी?
It's a college website, ma'am.
It's with include backend PHP and MySQL.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Divya,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
may I know that क्या आप एज अ टीम लीडर काम करना चाहोगे इन अ PHP
PHP, ma'am.
या इन अ PHP बैच?
Okay, ma'am.
मतलब like your internship is 45 days, okay? So I think end is 31 August. So you will have to extend your internship after 45 days. You will have to no fees pay for extending. Just you
Okay.
will, if you have knowledge and if you are good in PHP and MySQL, then also you can, then you can join the our PHP classes and आपको जो basic knowledge है उसे आप अपना best बना सकते हैं, ठीक है?
Okay, ma'am.
तो
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
आप मुझसे पर्सनली कांटेक्ट करना। राज आर्यन सर,
Yes, ma'am.
यस सर। सर दिव्या का हम नेम नोट करके मुझे ट्रेनर्स वाले ग्रुप में देना।
Okay, ma'am.
राजेश्वरी, राजेश्वरी, डू यू हैव नॉलेज इन जावा एंड एंड्रॉइड स्टूडियो?
Yes, ma'am.
सो इन मतलब लाइक इन जावा बेसिक और एडवांस, इन एंड्रॉइड इन बेसिक और एडवांस?
In Android Studio, I have a basic knowledge. For the Java, I'm good at Java, but not advanced level.
Like how much knowledge in Java?
Um, we learn so many from my classes, ma'am, but not advanced. I'm just good at.
Like do you have knowledge in web development with Java?
No, ma'am.
Like or normal, you have knowledge about like core Java?
No, ma'am.
आपको कोर जावा की भी नॉलेज नहीं है?
No, ma'am.
ओके, ओके ओके, को नो इश्यू राजेश्वरी। डू यू हैव नॉलेज इन जावा? झांसी प्रिया, झांसी प्रिया, आर यू हियर और नॉट? Okay, no issue. So next is that Sweta, HTML, CSS, JavaScript basic, PHP basic, Python.
Yes, ma'am.
Sweta. Okay. Sweta, please tell me your skills, like how much knowledge in that languages, like in HTML, CSS, your basic HTML, CSS, JavaScript. आपको basic है या फिर normal क्या है इसका knowledge?
Basic, ma'am.
And
I'm just learning from websites and YouTube.
okay, and PHP,
PHP also basic, ma'am. Uh,
Python, Python also basic, C basic, SQL. Okay, okay. Sidhu,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah. Sidhu, do you have knowledge in advanced Java?
Yes, ma'am. Like servlet, ma'am.
Okay, and also JDBC concept.
Also UDBC, ma'am.
Okay, and also do you have knowledge in web development Java? Have you any done website in Java, or have you any done previous project in any Java?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Sidhu, do you want to extend your internship, and do you want to make as a team leader or sub trainer?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, if you have no problem, then मैं आपका name note करती हूँ. Rajaran sir, please mention the name of Sidhu.
Siddhama, ma'am.
Okay, I'm noted.
Sidhu, are you South Indian? Are you comfortable in Hindi or English?
English, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Nikita,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, please tell me about your skills.
Yeah, I am good at front end, ma'am. Like HTML, CSS, I have done one website, front end website, not with the minimum basics of JavaScript. And
Okay.
I'm basic, Python basics and Java and CML.
Normal, you have basic knowledge in all that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 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 guys. Any other जिसने mention नहीं किया हो अभी तक, या फिर एनी अदर जो किसी अदर फील्ड में इंटरेस्टेड हो, या फिर किसी अदर फील्ड में आपको कुछ न्यू क्रिएट करने का मन हो, कोई न्यू क्रिएटिव आइडियाज हो आपके पास. If you have any creative ideas, please share with us, Raj Aryan sir. Raj Aryan sir, okay, so I
Okay.
am letting this meet and join the मुझे कुछ another meet join करने, okay. And
Okay.
अगर आपको कोई और नेम मिलते हैं जो इंटरेस्टेड हैं या फिर जिनको नॉलेज है, प्लीज मेंशन इट. एंड
Okay.
ऑल्सो आपको जो मैंने नाम दो दिए हैं उसे ट्रेनर्स वाले ग्रुप में सेंड कर दीजिए.
Okay. Sure.
ओके सर.
Okay. All right. So now we'll be starting a session. In the last session, we looked at how to create a project, how to start an app, and how to basically render an HTML page, right? So if anyone tried this and has any doubt or encountered any problems, you can ask me, and that will be resolved. You can ask me now or later or anytime you feel comfortable, right? So for now, we'll be starting the session. So is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So last time we looked at basically the settings file to add your app, and then we looked at the URLs files to make the connection to to your apps, and then we looked at this URL file. Yeah. Then we looked at this URL file to send the data to to the various addresses, which are then rendered by using this views file and the corresponding functions. Right. So today we'll be starting with sending data to the web pages. Uh, yeah, we'll be starting with sending data to the web pages, and we'll look at something called template inheritance, right? So let's start the session. So I'll just keep the last settings as they were. I'll just remove this so that it stays here. It goes to the default web page straight, and we'll be working with this today. Okay. So as you can see right here, when I do not put in an address after the local address, we would be directed to views.index, and so we'll be basically changing this views.index and see the result setup, right? So let me just, I'll not remove this, but I'll type something here, right? So we'll just first open this index file, right? So this is how your basic HTML looks like. This is uh, this tag basically tells us that this is an HTML5 file. This tells us the language that it's written in. Sorry, wait a second. There's a disturbance. And this is the title. The title is basically what appears on a tab. So right, uh, and this is the head tag. And the head tag is basically used for the initializing stuff, like when you'll be using Bootstrap. Bootstrap is basically set inside the head file. Your JS scripts, your CSS files are basically put inside the head file, and this entire head file is used for initialization basically. Like, and whatever you type inside the body tag is what will basically occur, not occur. That is what will be displayed at our web page, right? So this is our body tag, and this is the HTML close tag. So the HTML tag starts here, ends here, correct? And in between them, the head tag and the body tag are somewhat required. All right, you can work without them, but you shouldn't work without them. And these two tags are basically required: the head tag and the body tag. Right. So we'll first be looking at something called template inheritance. Right. So let me just create another file here, another HTML file. Second, just call it base. Let's say you've seen some web pages. Like I'll show you some now. I'll just stop sharing, and I'll share the entire screen again. Yeah. So let's say we go to we go to Wikipedia, right? And we go to the English part. Yeah, let's just Wiki files. Okay? This is not Wikipedia, this is a different Wikipedia. So as you can see right here, whenever you access any page, let's say we access this page, we access this page, or we access this page, right? You can see there's something that is not changing. Like if I go to instructions, only this, sorry, only this small box changes. All right, this part from here to the end till here. So that the entire thing except that, like this and the top and this, like this all remains the same. Right. Now let's say you design your own Wikipedia, and Wikipedia has around a million of pages. And now there are two ways to go about it. What you can do first is basically uh, write the entire web page for every single web page. Right. The other thing you can do is basically design a base template, right, which has different spaces like the changeable part, the non-changeable part, right. You can design a base template which is divided into various parts, and then you inherit this sorry, inherit this base template into other HTML files, so that you will only have to work on this non-inherited part, right? So we'll be learning how we do that, right? So we'll basically go here, and I'll just remove all of this. And as you can see right here, this is a very simple web page. This is a starter web page actually. So I'll just set the title as this is inherited. Alright. And this is the body part. Alright. So let's say I want to inherit this entire thing inside this index.html, right? This does not seem like much, but let's say I connect some bootstrap files here, right? Bootstrap files, jQuery files, or some files here, and I use certain classes. Like let's say, if you ever use bootstrap, there's a class called class called how do you spell content? I forgot the name. Something like this, right? And what it does with bootstrap is basically, I'll just show you an example now. Or I'll just basically go to Bootstrap. You don't need to pay attention to this, but I'll show you how um, basically it's used, the entire uh, template inheritance thing, how it's used. So we'll just copy this and we'll paste it here. Right. And I'll just remove this. Right. So now what I did is basically make a connection to the CSS to the Bootstrap CSS framework. Like now, to do this, we have to basically use this link tag, which you do not need to go into a lot of detail. This is basically the front end part, and we'll be studying the back end part. All right. So let's say I call the class container. This is our base HTML file. Right. Now let's say I make another page and I use Bootstrap there. Then I make another page and I use excuse me. Yeah. Okay. So let's say I make a page. Then I will have to use this entire thing again. This head part and move below, and this script part, and all of this. I'll have to always copy this over and over again to all of the pages. And let's say there are 1,000 pages in your website, and that is like a small website has at least 20 to 30 pages. All right. So are you copying all of this to every single web page and are doing this over and over again? That would be very let's say redundant. All right. So to basically prevent you from doing this, there's something called template inheritance, right? And you basically have to do one thing in the base template. This is the base template. If if that was not clear, you have to do only one thing inside the base template, and then you can use the base template inside every single uh, other template. Like this is the base template, and this is another template. Right. So first of all, what you do is you basically use something called the Django templates. Right. So these are triggered using these curly braces. Right. And there are two types of uh, curly braces. There's this, and then there's this. Right. This is used for your variables, which we'll be looking at in a bit, and this is used for your code. All right, small bits of code, uh, sorry, special code that can be used inside your HTML file. All right, so we'll be using, sorry, this for now. Right, so I'll just remove this and do this here. That I'll say this. So this initializes our block part, our code part. Now you write some code inside it, and let's say inside this base template and this index template, I want to change a few things. All right. Now those changeable parts can be set by using a block statement, block, and then you give it some name. Let's say block title, and then you say and block. When I run this, you will see how this works. But for now, just move along with this, and I'll just copy the same here, and I'll just copy the same here, and do this. Correct. So we'll just give it another name, dot content, and end block. Alright. So now we'll move to the index file, and to inherit the base template, we basically again use the code syntax, and we'll say extends and then the location of the base template, which is inside HTML as a main base. How to spell it? Base. Okay. You see here we inherited the base template. Right. We said extend and then main slash base. Now we don't have to type this template folder because Django already knows where all your templates are. You just have to write the um, relative path next to the template folder. Right. So it is inside main, and the file is base. So it's main slash base.html. Right. So now you know these are the changeable parts. Right. Only this part and this part can be changed. Everything else, right? All of this will be similar in all of these inherited pages. Right. So we'll just say doc title and close it, and we'll just again say and block and close it. Now whatever I type inside this, let's say home, right? And let's copy this, and let's do this, and we'll say unit, and let's say content and end block. Now let's here say h1. This is the home page. Right, so we did this, and I'll just show you how this works and explain to this by visually showing you how that works. H.py run server. and the server has run. So I'll be using Firefox, not Chrome for this because my Chrome has some issues caching Bootstrap for some reason. So I'll just say 127. I guess this is 127. Give me a second. This just right. I did this. Index is missing. Okay, yeah. I forgot to change this right here. Alright. Uh, the server is loaded again, and there's some issue with this thing. The head is closed, the body is closed. So where's the issue? Let me just find the issue and get back to you. What started not closed, which tag was not closed. Yeah. Hit this by mistake. So yeah, that should work with it. Yeah. As you can see, I just basically show you what I did. Remove this and run this again. Now you see the change in style, right? There's a change in style, right? And this thing has been styled better uh, and moved from here to here, right? But the page we were running, the index page, right? The index file, this one has not been changed at all. I did not basically connect any bootstrap with this file, right? So how this happened? So what I did was, so what I showed you was what I was talking about called template inheritance. Right. So you basically define a base template, which will be something that is similar in all of your web pages. Alright, there's always some part that will be similar to the web pages, like the web page footer, like the navigation bar, headers, and the position of some taskbar or something, sidebars and something. So all of these are initialized inside the base template. The things which will be constant in your file, in your website, your web page basically, is stored inside the HTML part, right? And the part that is needed to be changed with every single page is basically written inside this part. Alright, so what basically Django is saying in the background is copy this entire code here, and paste it here. Okay, this is what this part does in the backend, inside the library, not the backend, inside the library. When I say this, Django is told to basically copy this entire file inside this file, right? And copy this virtually, not actually copy it virtually, right? And then it is told that you have to replace these tags, right? You have to replace this. I said file, yeah. You have to replace this entire thing with this thing, right? So uh, now I'll explain how do you initialize the changeable part. Right? So when you say this, or like yeah, when you say something like this and this is initialized as a Django function, or like not a function, as in the Django template, it is the code part, right? This is where you will write your small bits of code that will be used by your backend program to do stuff, right? So uh, this syntax is used for the code, and this is used for variables. As you can see, only this part changes, like this and this part. So this is used for variables, and this is used for your code snippets. We just call them code snippets for now. Right. So this is a code snippet which extends or inherits the base template, basically copies this entire thing virtually here, and then like we did here, I said I want to initialize a changeable space that is initialized using the block statement, the block keyword, right? And then you give the block a name so that you can refer to it, right? So this is basically a block variable, right? You can think of it as a block variable, right? So you say that this part, this is the starting of a block, or this is the starting of the uh, changeable part of my website or web page. Why do I keep saying web page? A website, we call it web page. All right. So you basically say, by using this, you basically say that this is the changeable part of my website, web page. Come on. This is the changeable part of my web page. It starts it starts with this block and it ends with this block, right? So this small region here, like this small region is basically your changeable part, and the same thing we did here, we called a block, and then we created a block, a variable content, so that um, it can be basically referred when we use this uh, in other web pages. And this space right here is a changeable space. All right. Now that we have basically set a sorry. Now that we basically set how our changeable spaces would look like, we would use these changeable spaces inside our um, inheriting web page. And how do we do this? Is basically using the same syntax, but putting what we want to put inside it. Like so, I did the same thing I did in the base template. I initialized a changeable space, and I said, so, and between the space, I said what I want to be put inside that space, right? And that is the same thing I did here. All right. So we'll just move here, and let's say I change it to index and reload it. Now here's index, and let's say this is the index page, and it shows this is the index page. Right. Now this may not appear very useful now, but it will appear useful when we'll be using footers, navigation bars and stuff. Right. So I'll just explain what we did once again. First of all, we wrote the HTML file, the base HTML file, which basically includes all the parts which will stay constant in our website, right? And then inside that, we initialize some changeable spaces, right? Some dynamic spaces. Changeable sounds too non-programmatic, so we'll basically call them dynamic spaces. So we initialized some dynamic spaces, these spaces which are dynamic to every single web page. All right. Now, how we did that was basically using the code snippet syntax. That is the opening bracket, percentage, percentage, and closing bracket. All right. This is the code snippet syntax. And then we initialized a title variable with the type of block, which sets the starting point of a dynamic space. and then we basically end the block. Like we say this is the starting and this is the ending. Alright, now I could type it something like this, and I could type it something like this. It would not matter. What it basically says is that this space is empty. This space is dynamic to every single web page. Right, so we did the same thing here. We said that this part and this part is dynamic to every single web page. Right. So we then went to our inheriting web page, that web page that will be inheriting our base template, and we basically again use the code snippet syntax, and we use the keyword extends, which inherits this base file. Alright. Now by inherit I mean virtually copy, not actually copy. Virtually copy. Virtually as in the background, as not really, but in let's say concept. Right. We copied this entire thing in concept, and we replaced uh, these virtual these dynamic spaces with whatever is inside here, inside the inheriting templates dynamic space. Right, so this is the uh, dynamic space of the inheriting web page, right? And this is the another inheriting. This is another dynamic space. All right. So how you can understand is basically this part. Copy this entire thing inside this file, and this part basically replaces this part such that sorry, yeah, this part is replaced by this part, and when the execution reaches the end, these parts are removed, and what was inside the dynamic spaces is put here, right? I guess it was somewhat understandable. You will have to work with this so you can basically understand. But these are dynamic spaces which can be triggered inside a inheriting template by using the same uh, dynamic space syntax and typing something inside it. Like so, this will be put here. This entire thing would be deleted, and this thing will be put here, and this entire thing would be deleted, and only this thing would be put here. Right. So this is how inheritance basically works for web pages. Now let's say I do not uh, give a title in a web page. Okay. So what I can do is I can give it a default title here. Let's say no title was given, and I refresh it, and you can see it says no title was given. What happened here was it basically looked for this starting part and ending part here so that it could be replaced with this. But since it could not find it, it used the default setting and basically rolled with the default setting so that it does not uh, cause any error. Like many of you may have used HTML, and you must have seen it is not very error prone language. So like it would not give an error when there's an error. It would not just it would just not work like you wanted it. Right. So this basically prevents it. Right. So let's say you in a file you basically forgot to give a title, So you can say something like a default title. So the programmer can see that they have missed a title. Uh, they have missed a title dynamic space in one of the pages. Right. So this is how. This is why this is used. And we were gonna talk about passing variables here, but it's already 55. So I guess it is something for tomorrow. So yeah. So I guess it was understandable. It was somewhat understandable. And if anyone has any doubt, they can ask me now. You can experiment with this thing on a computer, and if you encounter any problem, you can ask me. Right? And this is one of the most interesting Python stuff you will ever study. So I still see only 19. I see only 17 people here out of a total strength of 27, and this will be used in your final project. Right? And the final project has to be good. It cannot be something very simple like a simple form, which basically takes your input and shows it back to you. It cannot be that simple. It has to be something intermediate, right? You all came here as either beginners or with no experience, and we have to push you to at least as an intermediate. Right. So the final project would be a proof that you are an intermediate, and everyone would need to submit it with all of the technologies used that have been taught till now, till the end of the internship, basically. So if you have any friends in our batch who are not present here, you should basically tell them to start joining, because if you do not understand this, it will basically cause a lot of trouble when we start asking you for uh, live projects or the other stuff. Right? So that's it for today's session. And just like the said right now, if anyone is interested in sorry, working as a trainer or working on stuff and they have some experience, they can contact me or Zia ma'am, and we'll work out something for you. Right? And Santosh ma'am, please take the attendance.
Yes, sir, I've taken.
Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you everyone. We can leave.